Hi, everyone. My name is Ross Karlan. I have a PhD in Spanish and Portuguese from Georgetown University. Currently, I teach at Georgetown and I'm a postdoctoral research fellow at the Smithsonian National Portrait Gallery. I specialize in medieval and early modern Portuguese and Spanish literature and visual culture, with a particular interest in the 15th and 16th centuries. I work mostly on the history of emotions, book history, arts and portraiture of the royal courts, and historiography. Today, I wanted to talk about the period of Portuguese expansion and exploration and share with you some of the resources and sources that I use with my students and find in my own work. As a quick introduction, the age of expansion and exploration begins in 1415 when the Portuguese capture the city of Ceuta, today a part of Spain, but neighboring portions of northern Morocco on the other side of the Strait of Gibraltar from the Iberian Peninsula. A campaign led by Prince Henry the Navigator, this moment secured Portugal's presence in North Africa and began a movement southward along the western coast of the continent. Much of Portugal's expeditions to West Africa took place during King Afonso V of the House of Aviz' reign. It was Afonso's royal chronicler, or cronista-mor, Gomes Llanos de Surara, who documented these journeys and exploits for the royal archives. One chronicle I work on and teach is the Chronicle of the Conquest of Guinea from about 1453. The text describes the land and people the Portuguese explored West Africa as explorers passed Cape Bojador and make contact with Guinean communities. One moment of the narrative I like to teach is chapter 25, when the author recounts the scene of a slave market. It's an important moment of the narrative, and it's full of emotion and compassion between the chronicler and the slaves, and opens up great discussions about concepts of race, representation, and imperialism that really resonate with students. On the other side of the Atlantic, I often teach the Carta de Caminha, or the Letter to King Manuel by Pero Vaz de Caminha, recounting the first expedition to Brazil. In that letter, like the Guinea, the chronicler chronicles the land and people of a newly explored territory to Europeans. The letter is firmly grounded in the medieval forms of royal chronicles, but is also considered the first piece of Brazilian literature due to its intricate details about the coast and its indigenous communities. When I teach the Carta, I often encourage students to discuss how Caminha represents indigenous communities and depicts the landscape of the new colony. Finally, if you want to push into the 16th century, I point you to Luís Camões' epic poem, Os Lusíadas, or the Lusiads, from 1572. The Lusiads is the national epic of Portugal and recounts Vasco da Gama's 1497 journey to India in a dramatic and poetic manner, pulling inspiration from Virgil's Aeneid. I like to guide my students through the fifth canto of the poem specifically, when da Gama rounds the Cape of Good Hope and comes face to face with a giant named Adamastor. The episode of the narrative shows how Camões engages with classical models of myth-making and creates Portugal's own mythology. The text overall is a great introductory resource as well to thinking about Portugal's interventions in the Indian Ocean and the textual networks that were in place there, stemming from Portuguese powerful presence in Goa. So to guide you through, I have some resources available that we will share. The first is loading. Oops. The first is an English translation from the late 19th century of the Chronicle and Discovery of the Conquest of Guinea. This is available on the Internet Archive as open access. It comes in 2 volumes. It's a little clunky and not necessarily the best translation, but not many translations of this text actually exist. If you're interested in looking in the original Portuguese, the Biblioteca Nacional of Portugal has its Biblioteca Digital, which actually has some of Surara's works digitized. 2 of these are the Conquest of Guinea, one from 1841 and another one also from 1841, which are transcriptions in Portuguese of the Paris manuscript. When you click on one of these links, it'll also take you to different options where you can use a Flash player installation, a PDF download, or a JPEG download of the different pages. For the Carta de Caminha, it's not a text that has been translated in full. And if you can find a translation, it's very difficult to find. Or rather, it's not a text that's been translated in full very often. Here is the original Portuguese available as a PDF and open access from the Biblioteca Nacional do Brasil. It's pretty comprehensive. It's not necessarily a critical edition, but it is a open access original Portuguese edition. For an English translation, there is one available on Amazon, available through Kindle for very inexpensive, $4.99, or if you have Kindle Unlimited, it is free. It is a independently illustrated and translated and edited version, but it really gets the point across and is a really good introductory text for undergraduate students. It's extremely accessible. And like I said, it's not a text that's translated in full very often. So to find something like this as a resource for students has been really helpful. As for the Lusiads, it is available on Project Gutenberg. This is an English translation that has a critical introduction. There's an editor's preface and lots of information about Camões and the text. And then if we scroll down, we can see all of the different sections of the poem. Like I said, this is a lot of critical introduction. We do have the contents here. So should you choose to select one canto or another, you can go right to that specific section, right? So book 5, we can go to roughly stanza 141. Finally, this is just another resource that I find entertaining, which is the Internet Archive's audio recordings of an English translation of the Lusiads. It's broken down by dedication and preface, as well as each individual canto. So you can actually hear someone reciting the poem. And this is just nice for students to be able to hear it orally as opposed to just reading it. So feel free to take a look at these links. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out through the site. And I thank you for watching.